Privilege Check, a podcast where two girls from different backgrounds come together to unveil the reality of modern society. I'm Loveleen.
And I'm Shivangi. Through this podcast, we want to reach out to the privileged
You already know you are because you have access to this podcast.
and teach them the 101s of how to not be a privileged prick.
In this episode. In this episode, it's the fifth unscripted. So we would be reviewing rather all the previous episodes that we have done. We have certain new segments that we would like to introduce, and we have recommendations for you because you've been asking about it, and we have something new that you will come to know at the end of this episode, so stay tuned.
Yep, very interesting episode. So, yeah, I think
i
without
think this is
further,
I
yes,
think
go.
this is the most loaded episode we have done. I mean,
Yeah,
we have so much planned for this episode. It really excites me. Yeah,
yeah, I think this is just a way for us to showcase like all of the efforts we're putting into this podcast. Like
yeah,
the amount of news segments we have, crazy.
I'm
Cool.
just going to
So,
wait.
yeah. So without further ado, I sorry, my voice keeps breaking. So without further ado, I think we should move on to like the first segment of today's Unscripted 5, which is we'll be reviewing this month's episode, whether we have any anecdotes related to it, whether we found some contradicting information, that just stuff like that. So listeners, we basically had three episodes before Unscripted. We had episode called Privilege Number Something Atheism. I don't remember the number.
I think it was
What was
12.
the number?
I think it was 12.
Okay, I think it was 12 as well, or was it 13? I don't remember. But yeah, so whatever number that is, you figure it out. So we had privilege number blah blah blah, and we had Khali Pili review, that was privilege take, which was a new segment. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. And we had recast as well,
It was
which was
12.
based, yeah, it was 12, privilege number 12. Yeah. So about recast, since that we've already done a recast episode on education, it makes no sense to add like additional information. I think we should talk about atheism. Laveen, do you have
Yeah.
any anecdotes related to atheism? Because you like briefly touched upon it in the episode, but we never really got the time to explore our experience with this. So yeah,
Um, so everybody who knows me knows that I'm a very crazy Christian. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, sort of. And they also know that I've always been like sort of questioning my faith and trying to explore things. But you know what's really funny is that I've always been told that Christians are missionaries, and that's how, like, I mean, yeah, but that Christians would probably try to convert people every chance they get. And I think that's like a given myth that goes around because of the entire missionary and like with India's past history about it, and with the book and the Bible and the scale anecdotes and all of it. I think I think that's something that's very understood and like given sort of. But you know what's really funny is that more than anything, more than me talking about Christianity, I have had people try to convert me to atheism. Like for some reason, every atheist that I talk to, and every time I say that, no, I am a Christian and I believe that there is a God and I believe in Jesus Christ and all of that. And somebody will, like this atheist will come up to me and say, okay, but what if not? I mean, they probably, at times, they don't even have like a valid explanation to their belief. And okay, I'm not trying to convert you. Like, I'm just stating that I'm a Christian and it's okay. Like, it's fine if you have your own views. It's fine for you to not believe. And I mean, yeah, whatever it is, it's just really crazy. It's like every time I would say that I'm a Christian, there's somebody trying to debate me with their entire vigor, saying that, but can you explain this?
I've
अरे
actually
मेरे को
seen
नहीं
this
करना.
happen. Yeah, like
Yeah,
one time I've actually seen this happen. So yeah, it is with vigor, quite literally.
exactly. And it's not, the thing is that it feels like an attack to an extent. It genuinely feels like an attack to an extent कि यार ठीक है यार, तुम्हारे व्यूज ठीक है, मेरे व्यूज ठीक है. And I really find atheists crazy in that manner. कि यार बस I don't know if Shivangi is going to take super offense on this or something, but I find them really crazy कि बस आकर बता दिया कि मैं atheist हूँ और ये ऐसे नहीं होता है, and you're Christian and you're stupid and that's not going to work, and you know what, let's talk about. I'm like, नहीं करनी बात. बस मेरा मन नहीं है अब. Maybe we can talk about it, like maybe we can have all these crazy conversations, and I have had these conversations with atheists as well, where we can, like, talk and then chill out later. But then there are also these people who will just be like, no, you know, and it's really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to address one thing that Laveen mentioned about, people having a reason to be atheist. Anybody who has a reason to be atheist is just becoming an atheist for the fad. I'm telling you, because as an atheist, I'm telling you literally what atheism is. It's not believing that, oh, God didn't help me at one particular time of my life and I'm just going to give up on God. That's not atheism. That's just you being a non believer. Atheism is literally failing to grasp that there is a God. And it's not just failing to grasp that there is a God as well. It is just the fact that you can never imagine that person impacting your life, and that is fine. And somebody who has been an atheist like ever, I've been an atheist ever since I was a kid. Like you can ask my parents, I was not interested in anything, doing anything religious ever since I was a kid. Like when you're a kid, you can easily be persuaded into doing things that your peers approve, right? So, and I could have easily just done all of these things, but I didn't. I always questioned these rituals my mother did, and I always questioned the very religion I'm a part of, as well as other religions. And that's just who I've always been. So, and I tell you right now, I have zero reason to be an atheist. It's not that I feel like, oh, there's no God, or I don't believe that there's such a thing as a religion. That religion is the opium of the masses or anything. There's no such reason to be an atheist. You're only an atheist if you feel like you're an atheist. You cannot make it about a logical deduction of events or something. Those are the stupid people who try to convert others into believing that
Hmm.
God doesn't exist. So like how Levine talked about people trying to convert her into atheism as well. There have been fairly the same amount of religious people who are trying to convert atheists into, being religious as well. Some of them could be like from the very house you live in. Some of them could be your friends who want to talk about mythology and religion, mythology and all of that in front of you so that you seem out of loop. One of the times I literally had a breakdown when my friends were talking about this because I was like, why am I like this? Why don't I just believe in God? And this was like I was 14 or something year, and I felt like I am a weird person because I don't believe in all of these normal things. And it's weird honestly because I genuinely feel like even religious people have always tried to normalize being religious, but at the same time it's atheism is more like what you feel. I literally cannot pinpoint a reason why I'm like this. I've always been like this. So I genuinely don't understand people, people who claim to be atheists because of some particular reason, or like scripture in this book is wrong. I feel morally offended by it. That's stupid. This was written. Wait, Lavine told me this was offensive, but I'm like, this was written years ago, okay? That doesn't apply to Christianity. I'm talking about my religion now, but it is not my religion, but on paper it is. So that religion, like it has been written down years ago, even way before. So some things are not going to match. I think, it is your choice to pick things that make sense to you and that help you lead a better life than just simply accepting the entire thing. Nobody follows these scriptures from to the T, okay? You can choose. You can choose what makes sense to you. You can choose to have faith. Don't force others to change their faith, whether it is an atheist faith or whether it is Christian. Like Lovely.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we talk about faith, I think we should really bring up this point where when we were writing our script for atheism, there was just one point where Shivangi and I just sat down and we were trying to explain trying to put it into words, the difference between spiritual and religious, which I feel like most people don't really understand.
Yeah.
Because um, I think when I have been debated by atheists as well, like they would come up with having logical explanations to it. But that's the thing about being spiritual. So if I say I'm a believer in God, that's a very spiritual thing to say. That is something my spirit believes in. The way your spirit believes that there is no God, and that couldn't affect you. Like you will always hear all these Christians, and I would as well say that there have been times where praying or being a part of a spiritual activity, which is mostly mistaken as religious, is something that is that's something that has changed your life per se, or it's just like this awakening in you where you have this feeling or something like that. All of these are supernatural, and it talks of the supernatural where logic may just not make sense at a point. And I don't
Yeah.
think, like, I mean, I think Shivangi might agree with me when I say that having this sort of a debate is not going to leave you anywhere, because it involves feelings and emotions,
Exactly.
which is not going to be the same for two people. So, like, having this entire conversation, like, I am okay with Shivangi being atheist, she's okay with me being Christian. There's not once that we have thought about it. There's not
Yeah.
once that we have thought, like, Arey yaar, ye kya ho raha hai? And I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's the beauty of the spirit. Religion is a completely different thing. It's organized for a reason. And the division is again for a reason. Between, like, the division, man-made division of religion is also there from a discipline. It's come down from a lifestyle. And I think that those are very different things that should not be mismatched and should not be misinterpreted as well.
Yeah, like that. Like even I forgot what I was going to say now. Wait, you can continue.
Vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah, I literally just thought of this and I forgot.
Yeah,
God.
you were trying to interject when I spoke about how you and I have never fought about being an atheist or
Yeah, like exactly. Like I think what people fail to realize, like if okay, so you know how people keep on trying to convert either atheists or either religious into like the opposite, right? That they've left behind. So, if you think about it, the entire society like has this uproar, when people infringe on, when a man infringes on a woman's privacy and tries to force himself on her. Isn't this quite literally the same? You're forcing yourself, you're forcing your mentality, you're forcing your perspective onto somebody. That's literally the same thing. If one kind of non-consensual whatever's happening is wrong, then I think this should be wrong as well. And what people really need to ace is this clarity, like this very clear and crisp distinction between being an atheist and being a religious person and being a spiritual person. They really need to ace this difference, and they need to understand that the way you live your life is obviously a product of the experience and the childhood you had, and the way somebody is living their life is a product of the life experience that they've had. So I don't really see the point in ridiculing somebody to be religious. Superstitious, yes. Religious, no. It somehow blurs in my religion, but you'll have to figure out a way to make that distinction.
yeah.
That's the thing.
And it's also like, because I feel like, I think this was something one of my professors had also told me once, that specifically when we talk about Hinduism, and I think the reason that it's more specific for Hinduism than anything else is because it can be traced back more easily, because of the staunch culture of having of preserving things, right, or preserving traditions. So, like, when you trace back, it stems so much from discipline of life, like just having a good lifestyle of maintaining society in a manner, let's say. So I think like that's where most superstitions we also understand today have begun. And somehow in the process of life, in the process of progress, people have forgotten to progress those particular superstitions as well.
Yeah.
And they've just forgotten that we can move ahead from this. And I think that is the problem with superstitions, that they have been so rigid and the people following them have been so rigid that because of the lack of flexibility, it just seems really illogical. Like Shivangi was saying earlier about things being written years ago and them not being applied or them not being applicable today. Now, there are certain things that could be uh, could be spiritual in a sense which don't change. And I say this from experience because I at a point argued about this with my entire heart as well. And and I think that is the beauty of it, that all of us should not jump to conclusions without arguing about it. And when you
Yeah.
argue about it, I think you need to have an open mind to just understand and accept the other party as well. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you, and it doesn't have to. Just imagine this random person telling you that I believe in God because I have felt the spirit working me and because I have felt rain pour on me. It's not going to make sense to you. Imagine somebody, if you take this in terms of a very physical human activity, imagine watching a movie and you see this movie and you feel so sad because a puppy died. Not everybody is going to feel that same kind of sadness for the same
I'm
amount.
not going to feel sad at all. I do not
Yeah,
care about
and I would
puppies.
be crying. I would be so emotional if a puppy died. It's just
Yeah.
imagine if you take a Disney movie for example. If you take Up for example, when the woman dies, when his wife dies, I think I saw the shit posting where somebody said that, oh, it's really sad and it's really emotional. Or if you take Bambi for a reason, and the mother dies or something like that, like the mother deer dies and all of that, and people are like, it's animated, it's not even real, you're not going to feel anything.
Me, I do not understand why people cry over animation. I
Yeah,
just do not get it.
exactly.
I'm
So like,
very cold-hearted. We've established that. I do not get it.
yeah, but that is the thing. Like, if you can understand in human terms that people have different emotions and they can have different experiences, like suppose you're watching a graphic movie or like a horror film is the most easy example. Some people can't sleep for days after it. Some people can. And I think that is the best explanation you can get, because when it comes to feelings you can't explain it and you can't try to put them in boxes and you can't try to put logic to it. And
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to accept a life which does not have logic, and that is your choice. So
Also, like this entire thing of people, atheists believing that you can do away with religion. I, it's so funny. In India, you cannot, and not because people are poor and all of that, and that's
mm,
a dated argument. You can't do away with, you cannot do away with religion if you want to live a very conventional life where you have a job, you get married, and all of that. How is your marriage going to be registered? Is there's no such thing as atheism act. If you get married, you are going to be called. You're going to get married. Let's say you're Hindu, you get married to a Hindu person. Your marriage is going to be registered under the Hindu Marriage Act. So religion cannot. You cannot be an Indian and say that you can do away with religion. It's going to be there with you at your last breath, and it's going to be there to identify you when you're born as well. So you can say you're atheist, but you can never really do away with it. So I know this is contradictory because I am myself an atheist, but it's a very interesting uh, thing I once came across, and you really cannot do away with it.
yeah,
Even in my own house, I can't do away with religion. I cannot do away with symbols of religion. I cannot do away with participating in practices that make me a part of this religion, even though I don't feel for it. So it just, it's honestly a very stupid cycle that we're all pursuing, because at the end of the day, we'll have to kind of bend ourselves
Hmm.
to whatever religion we've been born under. So
Yeah, that's the thing that I feel there are, when a child is born as well, the first thing is what religion are they, and the practices begin from before the child can perceive what religion actually is.
yeah,
So yeah, like I know this better in terms of Christianity because of course I've been born and brought up in the religion. But if you see, if you go to a, let's say if you've gone to a Christian school, uh, you will obviously, you, it's just by the nature of what has been given as, in your birth certificate, that's how they will distinguish you, and they will just believe that, you, most Christian schools, or I don't know if most of them, but there are Christian schools that have like religion classes and moral education classes. So just by the just by the nature of that, you are put into either or, which is really crazy. And like, it's not even, the child is in first grade, the child cannot understand
yeah,
all of this, it's a first grader. So I think, as much as like religion shapes people and all of it, it sort of is a very manipulative factor as well, because
yeah,
yeah, before the child can spell God, the child is being preyed upon. And
yeah,
before the child can understand all of this, they're sent to Sunday school. And I think it really drills into your mind, like religious practices really get drilled into your mind to an extent as well.
yeah,
And I will not deny that fact. Like, Shivangi and I are both just sitting and contradicting our beliefs right now. But
yeah.
again, that's
And
what we
that's
said, that
what
at
makes
times,
for a healthy debate.
yeah,
That's what makes the fact that you can come up with things that contradict what you just said 10 minutes ago, and I can
yeah,
do the same. That
exactly.
means,
And it's acceptable. That is what is healthy. Not saying कि यार ये ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है, doesn't make sense. The religion that I follow, and everybody knows that Christianity has been divided between Protestants and Roman Catholics, and the way that it worked for me was, even though I was baptized at birth, I was given the choice to continue pursuing Christianity when I was like, I think I was 16 then. So they have this entire right where you can proclaim your faith and membership to the church. So you just go under this entire, they have this entire ritual which you have to go to like say that, acha, in my entire conscious mind, I am saying that I am a Christian, even though like I was baptized at birth, but like that was the choice of my parents or my guardians, and now this is my choice. So yeah, that is something that Christianity does have. But then again, the thing is that most people just do it as a ritual, just क्योंकि करना होता है. Yeah, so that is the deal with it, that sometimes it does not have the actual significance of what it was supposed to be, just like most rituals in other, I believe, in other religions would be as well. And that's how like most superstitions stem as well. And because like the value that was put on it and the entire thought process sometimes is just lost. So there is that.
yeah. And also, like, despite being atheist, I think it's very interesting to note that when you like when you have a child, I don't understand how two atheist parents would be able to give the child a fulfilling childhood without practicing, at least one of them should at least have access to religious rituals and be religious, right? And I'm an atheist and I'm saying this. I think it's counterproductive for a child's growth if if he or she doesn't get access to something as vital as religion. Like even though my entire childhood, like you know, I felt like I was being forced to sit for all of these things and everything. But I think by the virtue of the fact that they do get exposure to at least, but there's also the fact that they're only getting exposure to one facet of religion, the only religion that their parents have been, have raised them in. So that's also that. But I can't imagine how two atheists can really raise a whole child because you're not getting the whole experience.
Yeah.
The religion is vital. Like I don't think you can actually because it teaches us a lot of things. Even if you're not religious, even if you're somebody like me who mocked gods when she was like 8 or 7 years old because she couldn't understand anything. It it teaches us a lot of things and it also socializes us in some way. So I just that's what like I don't understand how you can actually raise a child
Hmm.
without religion.
I think that's what is really interesting, that despite like religion being so manipulative in nature as it is, but it also gives this person a community to rely on to an extent.
Yeah,
It, as you were saying, it gives them social aspects. I I think it gives them a community to rely on. And other than that, it also, I think if there were two atheist parents, I think they would raise a really pessimistic child because this child probably does not have anything to believe in,
yeah,
something to fall back on. Like if I mean, this could differ from person to person, but having to imagine a world with no purpose and this entire cycle of life could possibly put a young mind in a place of not finding anything worthwhile, if that
yeah,
makes sense. If that makes sense. um I think people could have difference of opinion here, of course. I like
yeah.
it can be for every aspect of life. But I think, yeah, that is one thing that a child could lack with two atheist parents. But then again, you have so much of exposure to having two very religious parents and then them forcing their religion on their child and then the child not having a perspective. So I think what
Mm,
everything is about is getting perspective. So I don't know how, like, I am not somebody who can, or I guess I don't think Shivangi is either, who can tell give an opinion about how a child should be raised with or
yeah,
without religion.
yeah.
Um,
But it's
a
just a
person
question
who
like,
would use
how does it?
Nazi Germany techniques for religion should not be allowed to talk about
Yeah,
this.
nope, definitely not. Like,
Was saying,
I forgot what I was saying. Just like always on this podcast, I keep forgetting what I have to say.
yeah,
But I was just saying, I don't think it's about fallback. Like that's the most popular argument I get from
hmm,
people. Like when they hear that,
yeah,
oh,
definitely.
you're not religious. So where who do you go to when you have this problem, when you have troubles or something? And I'm like, I go to nobody. I either just wallow about it or I just figure out a way to solve it. I don't go to God and I don't just sit in front of Him and like pray for 21 times and then figure out a way. I don't do that. I
Hmm.
figure out a solution and that's how I've always been. So in some sort of way, the fact that you don't have a God, like, but that's also very contradictory in its nature. But let's say in an ideal world, like if a God's purpose is that like a human being approaches God when they're facing some difficulty and they want to get like a clarity about what the next step should be. Like if in an ideal world, if things were that simple and this is the progression of events, then I think the child would become more independent and more critical in terms of its thinking because they would solve things first rather than like me wallowing. But so I think in some way, if things were that simple, then this could be that the product of being raised by two atheist parents. But also, I know nothing about what it's like to be raised by two atheist parents because I have
We
nobody to use
barely
as a
know
reference
about
here.
what it's like to be raised by two
Yeah,
non-parents, like when it comes to
we'll have to
kids,
edit this out.
when it
It's not
comes
like they
to
listen, but
children, I don't
yeah,
think any of us, both of us, we can't really talk about it because it's just,
yeah.
uh,
But it's just like feel free to like tell us, answer these questions for us because we obviously very loners. We have nobody
yeah,
who could help us out with this.
yeah,
So it would be great if somebody could just provide an answer.
yeah. I think like
Yeah, I think
it's also like
yeah,
people having religious kids would be more optimistic about it. Like, oh, my life has a purpose and God has made me for a purpose and all of that. But like
yeah,
also really traumatized that I have to go do all of these
yeah,
things every time. And like atheist kids, raised by atheist parents could also have this entire thinking, yeah, Rab banaya hi hai, I am born now, I have to die now. And but then they could also be like, yeah, fine, there is no purpose of life. I'll just do it my way. I'll just wing the days that I have because in
yeah.
the end, there is no consequence to what I'm going to do. So I could be a serial killer all I want to be.
I mean, religion has never stopped anybody from being a serial killer. Just look at our ruling
Of
party.
course,
It
Shvangi.
hasn't stopped
Haven't
anybody.
you heard Modi say? Haven't you heard him say? Hindus cannot be
Yes, you've
terrorists.
mentioned this in every episode you get the chance to. Okay, you've mentioned this in every episode you get the chance.
Yeah,
How can I not hear
because I
this?
think it is a statement that everybody needs to know before choosing their prime minister for another term. So please, just
In another mood of the nation survey, in another mood of the nation survey that India today is getting criticized about, okay? Because they're saying that they didn't ask migrants about it. You want to know the figures of how many people support Modi? He's still in majority. His
yeah,
biggest deeds are still Ram Mandir and 370. And his biggest failures are still coronavirus and unemployment. So it is very essential that we keep mentioning how stupid and how ridiculous he is again and again.
yeah,
It is very essential.
exactly. Like
Because this is
only,
just, I was talking to people who live in Europe, okay? I was talking to them, and they have pretty shitty lives as well in their own country, but
yeah,
of course, nothing can compare to India, right? So I was talking to them about how we're concerned with digital privacy because because if people have access to our chats, and almost every sixth person here is pitching about like the ruling party, it's going to be very scary, right? And they just couldn't understand why we care about privacy. And I was explaining to them, oh, because our ruling party doesn't care about us. That's why they would
exactly.
rather we be in jail. So it's
Yeah,
just so crazy how people
yeah,
literally cannot even understand this.
exactly. Like I think only if people watch more documentaries um by Anand Patwardhan other than watching like what was that? I don't even remember the name of the movie where who is the actor with the surname Vivek Abroy played Modi.
Oh yeah, what
Uh,
was it called? Modi only, na?
I guess I don't know, man. Whatever. Like if people watch more of that, and also, did you know that Europe has changed like its privacy policies for all of these social media apps owned by Facebook?
Even Apple,
Yeah,
iOS
yeah,
14 has this update. You saw, right? So they basically just said Facebook, Instagram, you can't work on Apple iPhones. You
yeah,
can't get the data of our users. So
exactly.
Facebook's literally, if Europe नहीं use कर रहा है, Apple users across the world won't be
Huh.
able to use it. Like
It's really
crazy.
stupid. I mean, because and that really spoke volumes because I saw this thing about Europe and I was like, wow, that's great. Like the because I kept believing that I don't know why, but the little thought that I gave to it, I was like, yeah, iska kuch nahi ho sakta other than a switch. And then I saw Europe and I was like, wait, the government can actually prohibit this. Like it can
Yeah,
get done. But the thing
exactly.
is that my government won't do it. So,
And that's why it's scary. It's so that's why.
hmm, yeah. I know all
Continue.
of these.
You were saying so.
Yeah, I was just saying so, yeah. But to continue, I would I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so I know all of these people who were so vocal about WhatsApp's new privacy, Facebook's new privacy policy, and they were all like, "We are going to switch to Telegram, and we are going to switch, and we're not going to use." And
That's
then
not the
2 days later, you
solution.
see them on the app. It's it's
Yeah,
just
of
there.
course you're
And
going to see. It's so exactly.
yeah, and the whole thing with WhatsApp putting WhatsApp stories that we are not taking your data. And it's so stupid. We are not giving your data to Facebook. They literally say that when you open the app, it's WhatsApp by Facebook.
By
Imagine
Facebook.
that
Exactly.
it will go to their parent company, and however the parent company uses it, it's their choice. It's just really crazy.
Like exactly like you cannot. I mean, it's just so dumb to think that people's second choice is, let's just move to Signal. Who's going to fight? Who's going to do all of this?
Yeah.
Like that's not going to help.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our country doesn't care, and like I'm sure Europe has its own fair share of problems, right? But the fact that the entire union actually protects everybody who lives there, even though EU has a pretty bad track record of everything. It's still crazy that people still crazy how little our government cares about us.
Yeah, go on.
I forgot now.
How
Yeah, I think this is
little
all I
the
wanted to
government.
say. That
Yeah, correct. I mean,
yeah, because if
that
like
completely
this is
makes
like
sense.
the worst time. Yeah, like this is the worst time for us to realize this. Like you have inauguration happening in US. You had like the lesser evil president like get sworn in. You have Europe doing all of this for their citizens. Like, and you wonder what our country is doing for us. Just lying about vaccines and vaccine deaths. Like, I think this is exactly why Loveleen and I constantly sponsor, not really sponsor, but we constantly encourage our listeners to watch documentaries. And
Mhm.
documentaries are not going to be an unbiased piece of information, but it's going to give you one perspective. And it's
Yeah.
going to give you a very clear idea of one side of a story. Very clear by virtue of its length. And we realize that, our episodes are way too short. Like Loveleen and I sometimes feel like, oh, we should extend the episode because there's so much we haven't covered. So that's why we had recasters as well. But I think I think what's essential for our listeners to get out of our episodes as well is our very sources. So what Lynn and I have decided for this episode, what we've decided for like probably every unscripted episode we do is that we're gonna give like one or how many. Like Lovely is probably gonna give five, knowing how much she watches documentaries. But you can give any number of documentaries or book reviews that you think kind of help people in getting a clear perspective of life. So Lovely, we're gonna start with yours.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you
Uh,
have a list of 10 documents.
no, I surprisingly don't because I was very preoccupied with college work. Um, and because understanding that I have sold my soul to Sophia BMM, I think that is a valid justification to why I haven't watched documentaries as much as I used to. Because this used to always happen that Shivangi would come up and she'd be like, I want to watch something, but what should I? And then I always had like at least five ready. Ki, yaar, this is what you have to watch. But noting that, I think we will also with this progress into our next segment and we'll just talk about that. Um, how about like we make this sort of fun? Maybe Shivangi? Do you want to do like
Okay.
a this or that with documentaries?
Give me a potential question that does not sound like something Emma Chamberlain would say to justify that she's political, and maybe I can go ahead with it.
Yep.
I
Okay.
can't think of a question, so this is going to be just you putting questions.
Um.
If you're up for
uh,
doing all the work, lovely. Go ahead.
Okay. Like, would you rather watch? Would you rather watch? I can't even remember this. Kashmir by Times Now, or would you watch Ram Ke Naam?
I have watched both of these actually, and I was very surprised that I was not surprised per se, but I was very surprised by how not one-sided Times Now documentary was well.
Yeah,
Whereas Ram Ki Naam just magnifies the crux or whatever how it's pronounced, crux of the issue, crux of the issue, I don't care. But it magnifies on one particular aspect of the issue. I think Times Now one was pretty informative as well.
yeah,
So, but if I had to choose one, I would choose Times Now one because I would prefer getting an informative take on it. If it was like a first time, like if I
yeah,
had no idea about Kashmir and I had to watch one documentary,
yeah,
I would watch Kashmir.
yeah. What would be
Could
like
you
the
like
best?
tell? Could you like explain what it is for our listeners?
I was going to ask you to do that. Before that, I just want to ask you what would be like possibly the best sort of Kashmir documentary that a person should watch.
I have a list of this. Hold on, because I don't remember. I have an
Mm,
entire list of documentaries that to watch for Kashmir.
yeah,
And there's this one, there's actually two, because see, there's an entire aspect of terrorism in Kashmir that has affected
yeah.
Kashmiri Pandits, but there's an aspect of, uh, क्या बोलते हैं, terrorism affecting the very Muslim population living in Kashmir as well.
Hmm,
So I've seen two documentaries. One of them is by
yeah.
this Kashmiri Pandit called, um, what is his name? Ajay Rena or something like that. It's called, I can find it, I'm so sorry.
Mom, we should like make this a segment where I would like ask you would you rather questions about documentaries. You could ask me would you rather questions about book recommendations. That's something we should
Yeah,
do.
that's what we can do.
Yep.
Definitely. But where is it?
And
Let me
probably be
just
more
search for.
prepared next time rather than having like our notes open so that we can figure out
Yeah.
what we have. The thing is that Shivangi and I all do all of this
Yeah,
and then
it's
we forget
called,
about it.
yeah, I found it, the Kashmiri Pandit one. This is
Hmm.
generally so, like, it's very great in terms of how raw it is, even with regards to the footage, the camera, the scenes they've shot, the people, they've actually
Hmm.
talked to people from JKLF, okay? So
Okay.
people like, uh, what is his name? The guy who's been like, some Hussein, I forgot his name, but this one very popular guy from JKLF who Yasir Hussain. What is his name? Yasir. Do you
I think
remember
that's the one.
JKLF guy? Yasir. I don't know if it's Hussain Lovely. I don't think it's Hussain.
Hmm.
Okay, it's not Yasir Hussain. Hold on. JKLF terrorist guy.
Really, really good search.
Yasin Malik. So
Oh.
Yasin Malik, he personally talked
Hmm.
to people from JKLF like Yasin Malik.
Hmm.
It's called, they said the plant you have sown has grown. Get the entire thing. They
Yeah.
said the plant you have sown has grown. This is I think it's the best if you want to know about the Kashmiri Pandit thing. You want to know about how deeply entrenched it really is and how it's still that politically volatile. So that's that for that. To learn about the other part where the Muslim population is suffering because of terrorist attacks and terrorist recruitment,
Hmm.
I think it would be uh, I think it is Jashne Azadi. But I might get it wrong because I don't
Yeah.
have it written down anywhere. So it's Jashne Azadi. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is Jashne. It's about how Kashmir celebrated its independence, I think, and it speaks in connotations a lot. But I think you really like it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it, Laveen. What
Hmm.
would do you have any other documentaries to bring to the table that talk
Yeah, I
about
think I'll
Kashmir?
just give you like one more because I think our episode's getting like really long as well. The other one would be I think you have watched both of these or you would have watched one of these because we were looking at this when we did cast first episode. So
Okay, okay, yeah.
would you rather watch Prostitutes of God, or would you watch I Am a Creation of God?
No, I was asking if you had a Kashmir documentary to
Oh,
share with the class board. Sorry, share with privilege check.
I can't remember
That's
any
why, because
on.
maybe I missed something. That's what I said.
Okay, no, I can't remember anything specific on the top of my head, and I can't seem to find my list as well. So I think that is something we can continue in our next episode a month later. Because yeah,
Cool. So, like, yeah. So now I can ask you a question. I don't know because I don't have any question, but let me see.
okay.
Let's assume you must have watched something from my list. I don't know. Would you rather watch? Okay, so this is not related to Kashmir. Would you rather watch The Insignificant Man? You watched this, I think.
Yeah, I was.
Or would you rather watch Final Solution?
I knew you were going to say this. I just knew it. I knew you were going to bring Final Solution up.
I had Journey to Freedom as well.
Yeah. No, I just knew it when you said Insignificant Man. I was like, before that I was wondering like ये कुछ बोलने वाली है अब, and I don't know if I've watched it or not, and I don't know how to work with this, uh, because we haven't discussed this, and I thought she's going to say something, and now I'm not going to know it. But you said Insignificant Man, and I was like, okay, what are other political documentaries? And I was like, Final Solution, and just said that. Amazing. Okay. This is sort of crazy. I think I would. I mean, I watched both of those, but I I can't even remember like Final Solution per se. It's been so long since I watched it. I This is cute to watch Final Solution
This
again.
is lovely. In
Um,
Final Solution, Final Solution is the very documentary where he says Hindus can't be terrorists while
yeah,
he's
yeah,
parading,
exactly.
rallying.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you,
I
lovely?
remember one scene out of it, and I will say it every time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
same.
I don't remember like the entire documentary by heart now, like I do for Ram Ke Naam. So I will watch it again. Anyway, like I think I would watch Final Solution again because
Yeah.
yeah, it's a better. The thing is that I think with Insignificant Man, as great or like whatever the documentary is, I think it's very subliminal in some of its ways.
It is very, very,
Yeah,
it's not like, it is subliminal on its first watch. But if you like,
yeah,
when you're done watching and you just go back over the scenes, you
exactly.
realize
Yes.
how literally on your face they've advertised this person.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Same.
it's
That's
very,
exactly,
very,
yeah.
like, we know documentaries about personalities are going to get biased, but this was selling an ideology altogether. And as somebody who is not very fond of the person right now, but who used to be fond of the figure in the documentary, it was very powerful. Like, it was selling an ideology at all. That was all they were doing.
Hmm.
So
I
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I feel like there were attempts made to bring the real truth out at points, but for like obviously it must have been funded or something, and then it has been heavily edited
Yeah,
out. So I think that's the reason I would go for Final Solution any day, anytime. Yeah.
makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Should I give you another documentary
Yeah, I
or?
have another question, so you should go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. Would you rather watch Prostitutes of God or I Am a Creation of God?
See, I have not seen any of these. So, I
Think
mean,
you
maybe I've seen, I
have.
don't remember.
I think you have at least seen Prostitutes of God because I remember you mentioning parts of it, like the idea we get
Is
from it
is
in.
is Prostitutes of God again about Modi?
No, it's caste. The one where you say that these women
Devdasi.
sell.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, oh.
Dev
So
Dasi wala.
okay. So I've started it, I guess, because on my
Ah,
YouTube,
yeah.
okay, it's a Vice documentary. Oh, I watched 15 minutes only. I
Ah.
haven't completed it. But yeah, if it's about Devdasis, what's the other one about?
It's basically about transgender, which is the term used by the constitution for them, but they're actually intersex people. I think I should clarify this because we had a fight with somebody in class about this. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So if I had to choose between both, so Devdasis is somebody, something I already know about,
Hmm.
and I even know like I read an article about what their condition is right now, and all of that. So I think I would, but also intersex at the same time is a topic we as a Gen Z, if we are Gen Z, I don't know what we are, but like if we're Gen Z, then that's something Gen Z is very familiar with. But also there's a lot more to it than what we've read on social media, right?
Hmm.
So I think I would go with this latter choice.
Mhm.
That's something I guess.
For anybody who hasn't watched these documentaries, I would just suggest that they're both good documentaries. They're both available for free on YouTube. Like anything we suggest is available for free. You should just know that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if you don't
yeah,
find it, just text me. I'll text Lakti and I'll figure out a way for
DM
you to
us
watch
on
this.
privilege check. Please don't text us. Just
Yeah.
DM us on privilege check and we will reply. Okay. Yep. Great.
Okay. So
Um, yeah.
yeah. So I have a question, and this is a very topical question because, well, we all know we are in a pandemic. So if you had to so let me give you two documentaries, okay, about COVID. On one hand, it's about Trump's U.S. handling the pandemic. On the other hand, it's about China handling the pandemic. Both very problematic states, both with its own ways that ruined quite literally the economy, people, just very gruesome,
Yeah.
both of these. I had to give you a choice. Which one would you watch?
Hmm. Have I just need to know, have any of these documentaries been sponsored or funded by the state?
Yes. So, not so yeah,
So not that one.
not by the states
Ah,
mentioned here.
okay.
So, the one I'm talking about, the China one, is by Al Jazeera, which is partially funded by the state of Qatar.
Yeah.
So it's doesn't, but it's I wouldn't say that it is politically because Al Jazeera has often reported about how Qatar has handled issues as well. So I wouldn't say like that funding has an influence, but it may have in particularly here. And the US one is by the one I'm talking right now about is by Frontline, which is again
Hmm.
an American broadcasting company.
Yeah.
I don't think it is funded by the government because there is no way it has been funded by the government by how much shit they've said about like both of the
Okay.
parties.
Hmm.
So that's your choice.
Yeah.
Not directly funded by any of these.
I think I would still go with like the China one.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just feel like that's something I really want to know because
yeah.
I think it would also include like sort of a PR tactic that China could have used or has used and expose it. Maybe I'm expecting something like that there. I don't know if it's there, but
So
yeah,
it
I
does.
think
It's the
yeah,
exact. So in some ways, in a like some way, you're actually right, but it's not. The documentary is not. Documentary actually exposes propaganda by the Chinese government. So basically, I'll tell you what the documentary is about, and I'll tell our listeners as well. The
just
China one
reveal the
is
name.
called 3 Days. Yeah, 3 days that changed the world. I think so. It's about so it's right in it's basically covers these 3 days right in the smack dab when WHO said that COVID is not going to be transmitted by humans. You can talk to people. You don't have to wear masks. कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. It's just six people. And then on the third day, it says that it's human to human transmission and the world needs to go for lockdown. So, how China handled all of this and how China treated the journalists who wanted to expose all of this. That's what the Chinese, that's what the documentary by Al Jazeera is about. It's really a great, like, it's so similar to how India handled the pandemic. Lovely, I cannot even. It's like I'm seeing India but Chinese people. Like that's and
Yeah, but
US is not, yeah, US is not that very. Does it evoke sentiments in that way? I don't know if that means that it's raw or that it's factual. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't evoke any sentiments in me. I don't remember the name. It's by Frontline though. Really great.
okay.
They have all great
Cool.
documentaries. So,
Cool. I think
do you have
that's
another question, or
no,
that's it?
that's it for the day. I think we
Yeah.
should move on from this topic, and maybe we should talk about, just briefly talk about the new segments that we have. Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's not like, yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, I think we'll just talk about the new segments. Do you want to introduce it, or should I go first, or what? How do you want to go about this?
Introduce it, I don't mind.
Yeah, I think uh, firstly we should, let's go in order. So we have been changing the way Privilege Check produces content through the month, and we understood that we are giving everybody so much information throughout the month, and while at the same time not giving enough information. So we have really changed the way that we are going to go about it. So our month begins with the first week being privilege number n, and n being whatever number it is, because perpetually me and Shivangi just keep forgetting what number it is. So whatever, basically introducing a new privilege. The next week would be the privilege take, which is going to basically be us analyzing movies and giving movie reviews, but from the point of view of focusing on the way that privilege is being played out in all of these. Our third week would be recast, where we look back to episodes where we could not give enough information due to our time limit and making information bite size, our ideology of making information bite size and digestible. So we will be looking back on it and giving more information on those topics, giving more facts, and making the world better. Our week number 4 will remain the same, with Unscripted coming in and us talking about the past month and us talking about uh, things that we could not talk about, at the same time in giving you very raw footage and being
Yeah.
so. Yeah, recast and Unscripted would be on YouTube as well, so don't forget to check that out. Shivangi, do you want to talk about the new segment that we have been thinking of putting in into Unscripted? Do you want to talk about that, and maybe like the other things that we are planning to do as well? I think you should do that.
Yeah. So basically, what we're doing for what we've realized is that I think just simply talking about one aspect of privilege and just talking about how it is negatively impacting people is getting very, it's not, it's getting very one-sided for us. And so that's what we decided, and we decided that we're probably going to talk about things that we've realized across the week or across the month, where keep losing my train of thought, sorry. So what we're basically doing for every unscripted episode from now on, from after this episode, because we've already wasted too much time here, so we'll basically talk about one instance of privilege that we came across throughout the month, and that really was something that we were not aware of. So it wouldn't be an episode because we wouldn't expand on it as much. We just talk about the instance. So you can get educated as well without getting information shoved down your throat. That's that. Uh, I think I also mentioned this previously in our previous unscripted, or was it Khali Pili? I don't remember. But we have a Twitter account now, because Lalina and I realized that we're way too witty to just waste it on like WhatsApp conversation that Mark Zuckerberg is going to read before he goes to sleep. So we're too witty for that. So we can't do that. We have to throw our content out there for the world. So we're gonna be active on Twitter, tweeting about things, tweeting in our very usual sarcastic tone, and we'll be on Twitter.
And
Yeah,
you could make a game out of it, trying to guess which one of us tweeted it. It's going to
yeah,
be fun.
you do that. Both
Yeah.
of us have Android, so that's not
Yeah.
gonna help you. So you figure out who did what.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all of the new things we have in Privilege Check right now. Like
Basically, we
we've
are
changed
trying to
it up a
find.
lot.
Sorry. Basically, we are trying to find more ways to get ourselves attacked. Yeah,
Mm,
that's the aim.
love it.
Yeah, I think
We're
that's
like
that.
RSS. Yeah, I think we're done. I was going to make an offensive joke,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
let's
Please
end
go
it.
ahead. I heard RSS. I want you to make it.
We're like RSS wet dream. Okay, that's all we are. You though even more because you're Christian. Okay, so
Okay.
we're done. I don't think we have anything else to talk about.
Yep.
We touched everything. This is probably going to be longer than 45 minutes. We've rambled. Is rambled the right word? We've rambled a
Yeah.
lot.
No, ramble. I think ramble is to roam. We've blabbered. We've.
No, I
Uh,
just rambled. I mean, I've heard rambled, I think.
okay. Cool.
So we rambled a lot. I hope this makes sense to me right now, and I don't want to break my head when I'm editing this. So, yeah, yes, Will Lovely is also editing this, and yeah, I think we've done everything we wanted to do in this episode. This is way better than our previous unscripted episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna move on to thanking you for being here, listening to us.
For
Uh,
staying till the end and not leaving within the first 3 minutes.
yeah, anybody
Like,
who does that is a loser, by the way. Like y'all are loser. Y'all are the reason
no,
we have Holy at the top.
these aren't losers, Shivangi. They stay till the end, so they aren't losers.
Okay, these people aren't losers.
Yeah,
But you tell
only
your
you aren't
friends.
losers. Everybody else is a loser.
Yeah, you tell your friends who leave like within 2 minutes. Y'all are
Yeah,
losers, missing out on life.
exactly.
Cool. So to the people who stayed till the end, thank you for listening to Triple Check Podcast. If you like this episode, then please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
Don't forget to follow us there on Instagram. That's at Privilegech. That's PRIVILEGECHK. Here's to an enlightened life.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well. We literally forgot to plug
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah, please follow us on Twitter. Please subscribe, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube as well. Because we're putting in a lot of efforts. Like you can see, Shwangi and I have worn earrings after so long.
Yeah.
And we're putting in efforts to, and we're talking in a lower tone as well now. So I think you should like, share, and subscribe.
I think we deserve a like, okay?
And a subscribe.
Like, yeah.
You can ask our professors. We have homicidal tendencies. So I think you should like us.
Yeah.
Bye.